let's be honest with ourselves. We have a little bit of a very strange situation on our hands. As that strange situation is only getting stranger, as there's a very important, high-level, high-profile meeting happening right now with some of the most important people in our government trying to figure out what will they do with the Jeffrey Epstein saga. How will they be able to save face? What will be the plan from here? All of this as more and more information keeps making it to light and the general public through the work of actual journalism. Yeah, I'm as shocked as you are, as we had some very interesting comments from Ghislaine Maxwell and Donald Trump on this issue once again. That brings up another confusing paradox here that we will be doing our best to try to answer here. As of course, the strategy meetings are in play here, and there's some key individuals that are being left out of these high-profile meetings, as now we have a new explanation to potentially what was going on here. Is it a legitimate one? No, I don't think so. I'll tell you why as the information came out. It's kind of old, but it's being rehashed now, that Epstein was an informant. I don't believe it for a number of reasons. We'll tell you why in this particular video. And if you appreciate us taking risks with this channel, as I have been demonetized, I have had t-shirt stores ruined for talking about this very particular issue, subscribe. Click the notification button, as of course this story is too big to ignore, as a lot of powerful people want it to go away. So far it's not, as the President of the United States just officially issued a statement saying that it was not him that personally authorized the prison transfer of Ghislaine Maxwell, and, quote, he had no prior knowledge of this DOJ plan to move her, saying exactly, I didn't know about it at all. I read about it just like you all did. It's not a very uncommon thing, Trump said. It is. It's an extremely uncommon thing. Why did this happen? Who made the decision if it wasn't Donald Trump? Who was able to skirt all the rules and regulations and create a situation that never ever really has been kind of done this publicly? That's a question that, of course, we are still waiting to find out from an administration that hasn't been the most transparent here, as we are also getting a lot of reports that Ghislaine Maxwell reportedly told the DOJ that she, quote, never witnessed Donald Trump engage in any, quote, concerning behavior, according to ABC News. Virginia Roberts Giuffre, who accused Ghislaine Maxwell of abusing and hurting her, trafficking her, and doing horrible things to her, came out and in a deposition when she was still alive, said that she did not have any negative interactions with Donald Trump as well. Now, is Ghislaine Maxwell being rewarded here for saying this? Well, that's what it looks like, face value. Let's just be honest with ourselves, and that's what a lot of people are going to be running with here. As it's also important to note here that Donald Trump did help out the victim's lawyer during this case here, and now we're getting conflicting information to why Jeffrey Epstein was kicked out of Mar-a-Lago. Trump Jr. told me specifically, it's because he was acting pervy and strange and was weird. Donald Trump told us, no, he was stealing my staff after I told him not to steal my staff. One of those staff members, Virginia Roberts Giuffre, that sadly is no longer around to be able to speak out and testify against any of this. Now, all the Epstein files still sealed, as the last we got of the Epstein files was that the FBI redacted Donald Trump's name from them, as well as other high-profile people's names from the documents. Now, those documents still have not been released. There's no timeline. There's no deadline to release them, as it looks like this administration has a very serious situation on its hands that a lot of the general public is just not willing to forgive it. There's a lot of Americans on either side of the political aisle that are specifically saying, hey, We want these files released. MAGA Republicans, 82%. Republicans, 83%. Independent, 86. Democrats, 90. The Democrats that are at 90% need to understand as Elon Musk said, big Democratic donors are on this list. As, of course, he was probably alluding to Bill Gates, Reid Hoffman, and others that have bankrolled liberal Democratic causes. We have also just seen some very strange photos with a lot of very high-profile people, including Steve Bannon, Fidel Castro, the Pope, leadership, royalty from Saudi Arabia, and Jamal Khashoggi, a guy who was also deemed an agent, as the United States wasn't too happy about him being sawed into pieces at the Saudi embassy that he was lured into. Now, this meeting with top Trump officials to discuss the Epstein strategy here is important to talk about, as there's a new theory that just came out. There's new information that allegedly came out about him being an FBI informant. We'll talk about that and a lot more. Before we do, we wanted to tell you about lookandfilter.com. Click the link down in the description below. You come here, and for whatever you could afford, we greatly appreciate all of your generosity, all of your support during these very kind of crazy, insane, difficult times. If you appreciate us talking about this Epstein story, almost before anybody else, really, subscribe. Truly, this is where you vote with your dollar. I know in some states you can't even do that in the United States anymore, which I find ridiculous. But your support needed now more than ever. We can't thank you enough for your generosity. 13 plus years of videos centered around helping you become the best, strongest, most amazing version of yourself. You have masterclasses. You have the ability to talk to me one-on-one. I'm thinking about doing a meetup in Houston. I'm not sure, to be quite honest, this Friday. I'll keep you guys in touch with what I'm doing, because I might be just absolutely just haggard and destroyed and totally jet-lagged. I'm releasing a really fun video tomorrow with a really cool walk and talk in Poland that you guys, I think, would enjoy here. Lookandfilter.com. Sign up right now. It's quick, it's easy, it's simple, and it means the world to us. Now, let's get into this top strategy here. Who's a part of this top strategy here? As it's fair to say that J.D. Vance is someone that the Republican MAGA Party sees as someone who will be carrying the Donald Trump torch. Now, if you're carrying the Donald Trump torch, you have to understand here that torch became awfully hot with the denial of the Epstein files, after the promising of the Epstein files, after the gaslighting of the Epstein files, right? And it's a little uncomfortable to hold, since almost everything the administration does, there's a flurry of comments saying, yeah, but what about the Epstein files? Listen, whether you like it or not, that's the political situation. That's the temperature in the room here. J.D. Vance, who Donald Trump said will probably be the next Republican ticket, along with Rubio. Rubio probably wants to become the president of the United States. RFK Jr. is going to be running. Tulsi Gabbard's going to be running. I mean, this next upcoming presidential election is going to be stacked with a lot of people vying for power and influence. And listen, if I'm J.D. Vance and I'm told I'm going to be the number one guy, which a lot of people see, you're going to have to clear up those Peter Thiel connections, since Peter Thiel also did business with Jeffrey Epstein. As a lot of people see J.D. Vance as a man that Peter Thiel made, developed, and produced. There's also the bigger question now of Palantir, social credit scores, surveillance systems. But these are the key high-profile people that are meeting. It will be J.D. Vance, the chief of staff, Susie Willis, who worked for Bibi Netanyahu before. She also has a consulting firm with Pam Bondi, who's going to be there. One of the a client that they shared was Pfizer. Interesting. Kash Patel is going to be there, and Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche, as there are discussions about doing press conferences, doing some potential disclosures, trying to think of a strategy here to save face of this Trump administration and the future Republican political party. Now, what are they going to be discussing? As of course, it's interesting that Dan Bongino's not there. As Dan Bongino is one of the few people that raised the stink. Even though it's a little stink, it wasn't even that major. He, according to a lot of the sources, he raised a little bit of a stink. He's still there. He's still in a position of power. He still lied to everybody, but he, of course, is missing from this very high-profile Trump administration official meeting where they are going to be discussing how are we going to, of course, make sure that there's not an issue. And guess what? I have the answer. The answer is pretty easy. It's pretty clear. You know what they could do? They could just release the documents. That's it. That's all you got to do. Release the documents. Let the chips fall where they may. There's powerful people that did horrible things. They should be held accountable. There's billions of dollars being moved around without following any kind of rules, laws, and regulations. Yeah, there should be some justice here. And until there's justice, the vast majority of people are going to see this as a two-tier justice system and an unfair justice system. The base was really unhappy when it came to, quote, locking her up, which never happened. Now we're getting memes about Barack Obama, Comey, Clapper, Biden being locked up. That's not going to happen. We're getting teased as a lot of people here want justice. They don't want a system where powerful people get to hurt small children and get to get away with it. They don't want that type of system. They don't want to live under that type of system. And I don't either. I don't blame them for wanting justice and accountability here. So if they're going to be discussing anything, because, and again, the decision's coming from top down. Now, I think there's going to be some kind of major move being made here, and a lot of people are extremely skeptical. And listen, PR, they could just say, screw it, release the aliens. Let's tell the world there's interdimensional aliens here, which, in my opinion, there is. But that could be like, okay, no one's going to talk about Epstein then, right? What are the polls number? What are people going to be saying online after that? Palantir, come here, run the AI predictive programming tech here. How active is Luke going to be about these aliens and no longer about the Epstein files? Oh, yeah, he's still going to talk about those Epstein files. But all these other people, oh, yeah, they're going to love it. They're going to eat it up. And listen, that's probably what's going on here. And until we get disclosures, I don't think there's anything that could save face here from the reality of this very stark, dangerous situation that is putting the Republican political party in jeopardy of never really winning ever again. And that's such a sad situation. Now, there's old information coming out showing how Jeffrey Epstein, and I remember covering this a few years ago. Now people are trying to pretend like this is breaking news. No, this is old news. We talked about it many years ago. 2008 document that Epstein allegedly provided information to the FBI as part of a non-prosecution agreement with the state of Florida. Well, again, that doesn't add up because he was prosecuted. Okay? And then, when he was jailed, he won the lottery in New Mexico. Oh, how lucky of a guy. As he was able to walk in and out of jail, have police as his personal security, and be in his own private wing of the jail that he built, and was able to do whatever the hell he wanted. Didn't even need to register as an S offender, which he should have. He should have registered as an S offender, but he didn't. Why didn't he do that? That's a good question that I think deserves to be asked here. Let me make sure. Okay, mic's working. Okay, we're still fine here. Apologies for that. I just got a notification that the battery is running low on the microphone that I'm using here. Now, the reason I don't buy this, because who did he snitch on? There's no records of him snitching on anybody. Who else went down in his circle around that time? What kind of crime did someone else commit that was worse than forcing themselves on small children? And the FBI cut a deal with someone? Like, who, and why aren't the details revealed here? As, of course, listen, I know confidential informants don't usually get their data revealed. But this guy's no longer around, right? The criminal case of allegedly whoever he brought down should be made public, right? Why hasn't it been made public? That's a question that I think a lot of people are going to be asking themselves, because I think this is a perfect cop-out. But it's even a cop-out and an explanation that doesn't really make sense since Epstein was held accountable. The prosecutor here, who was a part of the Trump administration, Acosta, literally told everyone, especially during his confirmation hearings, that he was told that Epstein was a part of the intelligence agencies, and that's why he couldn't go hard on him. Now, if there was a deal, there sure isn't a lot of information about who, what, where, and why, and it doesn't really add up to the fact that the FBI was willingly able to let a child herder let loose. That right there just doesn't make any sense. What makes more sense is the fact that he held a lot of power over very powerful people, and he used that to his fullest kind of extent here. Again, there were so many different travels by Bill Clinton, by a lot of other very powerful individuals that should testify, that should be interviewed here. There's a long list of celebrities. There's a long list of evidence. There's a long list of hard drives, photos, videos that he had in his safe that magically just disappeared. No longer to be found. And if the administration wants to save face, one, release everything, two, open up an investigation and start interviewing everyone that was involved here. Larry Summers, bring him in. Peter Thiel, bring him in. Let's start asking some serious questions, and let's have some open congressional hearings, and let's really get into it. As there's so many famous figures here, so many powerful people implicated in all of this, and the fact that there's still little to no disclosures is, I think, one of the biggest type of red flags that I have ever seen within a government. There's also a lot of other individuals like Les Wexner, who, by the way, according to reports, also just bought Barack and Michelle Obama's Martha's Vineyard mansion. Beachfront, by the way, as they keep warning about how dangerous climate change is. Interesting, and how the water, sea levels will be rising here. Brick Suit guy says, for sale, one slightly used Obama mansion. Chef not included. Yeah, don't ask about that chef guy. Prince Andrew welcomed Jeffrey Epstein to the royal box with the Queen. The Queen was hanging out with Jeffrey Epstein. Again, such a strange, wild, weird scenario and situation here that absolutely demands disclosure. There's no other way about it. Now, a lot of people have said, no, people will forget about this. It's not important. I think it is, because the longer that we don't get any answers here, the longer that there's actual blackmail out there, the longer our government is hijacked. And the longer our government is hijacked, the longer it acts against the best interest of the American people, and it works towards the interest of the people controlling the blackmail and the compromise. And now listen, I think I was wrong initially, to be quite honest with you, because I said Trump probably wants that power himself, but I think there's something else to it, because there's no way you could dig yourself such a big a hole for power that you're depleting so much other power for by destroying your reputation. Now, a lot of people now believe that there's compromise and blackmail on Donald Trump, or threats against his life and the life of his family. Either of those situations, I think, are more plausible here. Now, there's a lot of circumstantial evidence highlighting how Donald Trump wasn't guilty here, but if there ever were clear actions from a guilty person, they would be directly the actions of Donald Trump here. Now, again, lots of circumstantial evidence, lots of people vying and saying Donald Trump didn't do anything wrong. Virginia Roberts, I think we could trust her a little bit more than Ghislaine Maxwell here, who, of course, was heavily rewarded for her testimony here. Now, again, that also just doesn't look good. That doesn't look good, okay? We have a lot of the victims coming forward here, the victims that Pam Bondi and Kash Patel and Dan Bongino said that they cared so much about, being like, what the hell, dude? You guys are rewarding and helping out Ghislaine Maxwell here throughout all of this? This is a little bit weird. It's a very strange situation. I think this administration is not handling it well. I think there's one or two explanations. One, a threat. Two, blackmail. Which one do you think is more likely of the scenario? Let me know down in the comment section below. And either way, until we actually deal with this situation, our government is hijacked. I think it's clear as day that that's the truth. That's my take on it. Do you think I'm correct? If you think so, share this video. Thank you again for all the support on lookunfiltered.com. I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for you guys doing that, and this is why I love you guys. Stay tuned for more, all here exclusively on youtube.com/wearechange.